I didn't realize anything was wrong at first. That's the most terrifying part, how normal it all seemed. If someone had told me back then that my life was already unraveling, that something unnatural had already found its way into my home, I would have laughed it off. Parents hear imaginary friend stories all the time. That's what I told myself. That's what I clung to. But the night I heard my daughter answer a question I never asked, spoken in a voice that wasn't mine, I understood too late that this was never imagination. It was an invitation. My daughter Lily was 5 years old when she started talking to someone I couldn't see. She was bright, curious, and had the kind of laugh that filled rooms and softened bad days. After her mother died, it was just the two of us in the old house at the edge of town. A place with creaking floors, drafty windows, and too much silence once the sun went down. I tried my best to keep things normal routine, bedtime stories, warm dinners, cartoons in the morning. I thought love would be enough to keep the darkness out. The first time I noticed it, Lily was sitting on the living room floor, coloring quietly. Too quietly. Children are never that quiet unless they're asleep or hiding something. I looked up from the sink and saw her smiling at the empty space beside the couch. She giggled, then leaned closer, whispering something I couldn't hear. Who are you talking to? I asked casually, not wanting to startle her. She didn't look at me. She just smiled wider and said, "He says you already know." A chill crept up my spine, but I brushed it off. Kids say strange things. I dried my hands and walked over, kneeling beside her. Who says that, sweetheart? She finally turned her head toward me, confusion crossing her face, as if the answer was obvious. The man. He's always here. Where is here? I asked. She pointed to the corner of the room. Empty. Just dust and shadow. That night, after I tucked her into bed, I sat alone in the living room, listening to the house settle. Pipes clicked. The wind brushed the siding. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched, not by something malicious, but by something patient, observing, waiting. Over the next few days, Lily's conversations became more frequent. She spoke to him while eating breakfast, while brushing her teeth, even while riding in the car. She would pause mid-sentence, tilt her head, and listen, responding with careful thought, like she was afraid of saying the wrong thing. What does he talk about? I asked one afternoon as we folded laundry together. She shrugged. He asks questions. Like what? About you. About Mommy. About the house. My hands froze around a towel. What does he want to know about Mommy? Lily's expression darkened. Not sad, serious. Older than it should have been. He wants to know why she left. She didn't leave, I said sharply, immediately regretting my tone. She passed away. Lily looked at the doorway, then back at me. That's not what he says. That night. Lily woke me around 2:17 a.m. I remember the time because I stared at the clock afterward for a long time, wondering when my life had started slipping out of my control. She stood at the foot of my bed, eyes wide, face pale. Daddy, she whispered. He's upset. I sat up, heart pounding. Who is Lily? The man. He doesn't like that you don't listen. A cold pressure settled on my chest. Listen to what? She shook her head slowly. I'm not supposed to tell you yet. I pulled her into bed with me and held her until she fell asleep. I didn't sleep at all, the next morning. I called a child psychologist. I told myself I was being responsible, proactive. I didn't mention the fear clawing at my insides, or the way the house felt heavier at night. The psychologist assured me that imaginary friends were common, especially after trauma. She suggested encouraging Lily to talk about her feelings, not dismissing her experiences, but grounding her in reality. So I tried. "Can you tell me more about your friend?" I asked Lily gently during dinner. Asterisk, she frowned. "He's not my friend." Asterisk, "What is he then?" Asterisk, she hesitated. "He says he's family." Asterisk, that's when I started noticing the other things. Doors that were closed, when I knew I left them open. The faint sound of footsteps upstairs, after Lily was asleep. The way Lily would sometimes answer questions before I finished asking them. Asterisk, one evening, as I read her a bedtime story. She interrupted me mid-sentence. Asterisk, "He says you shouldn't read that one." Asterisk, I looked up. "Why not?" Asterisk, "He doesn't like stories where the dad saves the girl." Asterisk, "Why?" Asterisk, she smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "Because that's not how this ends." Asterisk, I laughed nervously, and finished the story anyway, but my voice shook. After I turned off the light and stepped into the hallway, I heard her whisper, "I told you he wouldn't like that." Asterisk, I stood there, staring at her door, every instinct screaming at me to run. Instead, I asked, "Lily, who are you talking to right now?" Asterisk, there was a long pause. Then, from the darkness of her room, she said softly, "He's standing behind you." I didn't turn around. I walked back to my room and locked the door, something I had never done before. I told myself fear was making me paranoid. But fear doesn't leave fingerprints on mirrors. Asterisk, the next morning, the bathroom mirror was fogged over, even though no one had showered. On it, drawn with a finger, was a simple message. Asterisk, she hears me. Why don't you? Asterisk, I wiped it away with shaking hands before Lily could see it. I told myself there had to be an explanation, condensation, a prank, my imagination spiraling out of control. But later that day, Lily handed me a crayon drawing. It showed our house, me, her, and a tall figure standing between our bedrooms, stretching up to the ceiling. Its face a blur of black scribbles. That's him, she said proudly. Where did you see him? I asked. Asterisk, she looked at me like I was slow. Everywhere. Asterisk, that night, Lily refused to sleep. She sat upright in bed, eyes fixed on the doorway, nodding occasionally as if listening to instructions. Asterisk, what is he telling you? I asked, trying to keep my voice calm. Asterisk, he says soon you won't be scared anymore. That doesn't sound bad, I said weakly. She shook her head. He says you won't be anything. Asterisk, the house went silent then. No wind, no creaks. No distant traffic. Just silence, so thick it rang in my ears. And in that silence, I heard breathing that wasn't mine or my daughter's. Asterisk, slow, steady, right outside her door. Asterisk, I stepped between Lily and the doorway, my heart hammering. There's nothing there, I said, more to myself than her. Asterisk, Lily tilted her head and smiled sadly. He says that's what Mommy thought too. Asterisk, something brushed past me then. Not air, not imagination. A presence, heavy and deliberate, moving through the room like it owned it. Lily closed her eyes and whispered, Don't worry. He says this is only the beginning. Asterisk, and in that moment, I understood the truth I had been avoiding since the start. Asterisk, my daughter wasn't talking to an imaginary friend. Asterisk, she was answering something that had been listening to us long before she ever spoke. The night after that, I didn't let Lily sleep alone. I dragged a mattress into my room and laid it on the floor beside my bed. I told her it was a sleepover, tried to make it sound fun, but she just nodded like she already knew this would happen. Like it had been discussed without me. She fell asleep quickly, too quickly, her small hands folded neatly on her chest, lips moving in silent conversation. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, listening to every sound the house made. waiting for the breathing to return. It didn't come from the hallway this time. It came from inside the room. Asterisk, not loud, not threatening. Just a slow, patient inhale and exhale, as if something were standing still, learning the rhythm of being alive. I held my breath, afraid that if I moved, if I acknowledged it, whatever was there would finally step closer. Lily stirred on the mattress and whispered, "He says you're trying too hard?" Asterisk, I whispered back, barely moving my lips. "Lily, don't talk to it." Asterisk, she turned her head toward me, eyes still closed. "He doesn't like being called it." Asterisk, my heart felt like it was tearing itself apart inside my chest. "What does he want?" Asterisk, this time, she opened her eyes. They reflected nothing. No light, no warmth. "He wants to come home." Asterisk, the next morning, I packed bags. I didn't know where we'd go, only that we couldn't stay. I called my sister and told her we were coming to stay for a while. I didn't explain. I couldn't. Some things sound insane the moment you say them out loud. Lily watched silently as I moved through the house, her gaze following me with an unsettling calm. Asterisk, "He says you can't leave," she said as I zipped the suitcase. Asterisk, double quotes, "Yes, we can," I snapped. "And we are." Asterisk, she tilted her head. "He says the house is already inside us." The car wouldn't start. The engine turned over once, then died. I tried again. Nothing. The dashboard lights flickered, then went dark. I slammed my fist against the steering wheel and got out, checking under the hood like I knew what I was doing. Everything looked normal. Too normal. Lily sat in the back seat, humming softly. Asterisk, I pulled out my phone to call for help. No signal. Not one bar. Asterisk, when I looked up, every window in the house was dark. All of them. Even the ones that should have caught the morning sun. The house looked hollow, like a mouth waiting to swallow us back in. Asterisk, he says you're wasting time. Lily called. Asterisk, I turned slowly. She was no longer in the back seat. She stood at the front door, her hand on the knob, smiling at me. Asterisk, I don't remember running toward her. I only remember the panic, the way my vision narrowed, until there was nothing but my daughter and that door. I grabbed her wrist just as she turned the knob. Asterisk, don't, I begged. Please don't. Asterisk, she looked up at me, and for a moment, she was just Lily again. My little girl, scared, confused. Daddy, he's already here. The door opened on its own. There was nothing there. No figure, no shadow. Just darkness, thick and wrong, spilling into the hallway like smoke. The air smelled old, like dust and forgotten rooms. Lily leaned forward, as if pulled by something gentle but irresistible. Asterisk, I wrapped my arms around her and pulled her back with everything I had. The darkness recoiled slightly, like it was surprised, offended. Then the house screamed. Asterisk, not a sound exactly, but a vibration. The walls groaned, the floor shuddered, and somewhere deep inside the house, something laughed. A low, familiar laugh that I had heard once before, years ago, whispered into my ear in a hospital room when my wife took her last breath. Asterisk, I froze. That voice, that night, came back to me in pieces I had buried. The way the lights flickered. The way the room felt crowded, even when no one else was there. The whisper that told me it was time. That everything had a place. That death was just another door. I had listened. The realization hit me harder than any fear before it. This wasn't something new. This wasn't something Lily had invited. I had. Grief does terrible things to people. It makes bargains without permission. It opens doors it doesn't know how to close. I remembered sitting alone in the dark after the funeral, begging for one more chance, one more sign, one more voice. I remembered promising anything. The house had been listening, That night, Lily developed a fever. She burned up in my arms, mumbling words that weren't hers. Names I didn't recognize. Places that didn't exist. I held her and cried, begging whatever was in the house to leave her alone, to take me instead. Asterisk, he says that's not how it works, Lily whispered, eyes rolling back. He says you already gave. Asterisk, the temperature in the room dropped suddenly, my breath fogging in front of my face. The shadows gathered in the corners, stretching, twisting, forming something almost human, almost familiar. I saw my wife's eyes in the dark, her smile warped and wrong. Asterisk, I'm home, the voice said, no longer bothering to hide. Asterisk, I screamed at it to get out. I told it wasn't her, that it never was. The thing laughed softly, amused by my denial. Asterisk, you asked for a family, it said. I gave you one. The shadows lunged. I don't know how long I fought. Time lost its meaning. I remember pain, cold, the feeling of being pulled apart from the inside. And then Lily screamed. A real scream. A child's scream. It cut through everything. Stop, she cried. The house fell silent. Asterisk, the shadows froze. The presence recoiled, as if struck. Lily sat up, her fever breaking, her eyes clear for the first time in weeks. Asterisk. You lied, she said, her voice small but steady. You said you were Mommy. Asterisk, the thing hissed, the sound filling every crack in the walls. I was what you needed. Asterisk, you're not family, she said. Daddy is. For the first time, the presence hesitated. I don't know why that mattered. I don't know what rules it followed. But something broke. The darkness tore itself apart, retreating back into the walls, the floors, the spaces between breaths. The house groaned one last time and went still. The car started the next morning. We left everything behind. We didn't look back. Asterisk, Lily doesn't talk to anyone I can't see anymore. She barely remembers that time, only says she had bad dreams. I sold the house without explanation. I don't sleep much. Some nights, I still hear breathing in unfamiliar rooms. Feel watched in places that should be empty. Because doors don't always close when you think they do. And sometimes, when my daughter laughs in her sleep, I swear I hear something laughing with her. Softly. Patiently. Asterisk waiting.